the Move album was the first chance that we got to work with a guy that's a great engineer and producer and guitar player in Nashville named Paul Moak. And with the Move album, I remember us wanting to kind of return to the rock roots a little bit more. Almost go back to like we did with the Time album to make a very specific Southern rock kind of record. And it was another record that we didn't spend, as far as I remember, we didn't spend a lot of time making the record. I think we were on tour, we had just got off tour.
So we'd been on just that long tour, and we did a lot of demos.
Yeah,
and songwriting.
That was
on
kind
the road.
of a first to be on the road. We were like, we don't want to get off the road and then have to spend 2 or 3 weeks writing songs and then a month recording them. We were like, what if we take all this time we have during the day on the road and set up a little makeshift studio in the dressing room and write songs and demo them. It was actually pretty cool. We had just finished building our studio. For years we had dreamed of having our own place. And I think ever since making Come Together and setting up in this warehouse kind of thing, we had really thought, man, it would be cool to have our own place someday and set up a studio. And so we finally had a place, and it was kind of, it's like when if you've ever moved into a house that's brand new, that's not quite finished, and there's still things that don't quite work, but you're trying to move in, you're trying to do life, and you're still trying to finish it. It was kind of like that. The studio it had a few, loose things here and there, but it was really a great time for us to sort of transition into that experience of having our own place that we could just show up when we want to, leave when we want to. We're not paying an hourly rate for a studio. And to go in and I think working with Paul at that time was kind of perfect. He was such a chilled out, just a great guy, just a good spirit and a good, there was a good calm to it. It was this new experience for us having our own studio. And but what was cool, I think what was so great about that was that knowing that this actually works. The studio is it's legit. It actually we can make a good record here. And we're very proud of those tracks and the way they sound and the way they came together.
I think also it was an important album for us because Brad had left the band around the time that Revelation came out. He'd played on all those tracks, but then he left right after. And so this was the first time since the early 90s that there'd been 4 of us in the studio trying to make a record. And I think Paul was just huge in helping us through that process. He comes at it, he's a guitar player, so a lot of times he would strap on a guitar and get out there in the tracking room with us and help us work through the arrangements. And I think just Paul's whole personality, he has this fun approach to recording, and he just has this calming presence about him. And I think that combination really helped us kind of figure out what our sound was going to be like during that season. And we were able to work on the tracks in Atlanta, and then he's got a great studio up in Nashville, and he finished a lot of the tracks in Nashville. Had a choir come in and sing on Trust in Jesus, and it ended up being huge. And then we had the 5 Blind Boys of Alabama came in and sang on Lift Up Your Face, and that was a big moment for us and a lot of fun.
Yeah, Lift Up Your Face, that was a cool way that song came together. It was an idea that I had, and we had a show in Charleston, South Carolina, and we were wanting to demo the song, and we called up our friends from Need to Breathe. They have a little studio in Charleston, so we went over their studio. I think it was Valentine's Day, and for some reason their wives and girlfriends let them go work with us in the studio on Valentine's Day. And they just kind of, as we were hanging out, we said, why don't you just kind of stick around and kind of work on the song a little bit, and it kind of developed into what it is now. And then fast forward, I don't know, months later, and we went in the studio and recorded it. So it was cool to have them have a little bit of touch of Need to Breathe on there.